So, as Venezuela has passed a new law against piracy, blockades, and activities to criminalize a broad range of activities that can hinder navigation and commerce in the country, such as seizure of oil tankers, this law enacts harsh penalties for U.S. blockade supporters. Let's now connect with Akshay Dongre, who gives us more perspective on the story. Akshay, do you anticipate any effect of this new law that Venezuela is bringing about? Will it have any impact on the activities of the U.S.? Because U.S. says that it is a campaign to stop alleged drug trafficking.
Well, obviously, this is going to be a legal framework that will be there in Venezuela. That it can, even if it goes to the international courts, it can back it up. Their claims saying that they already have a domestic law as well against piracy and any kind of action if they take domestically as well against any kind of attempts to take away their tankers or hinder their oil trade. They can legally sort of prosecute, though how much effective that is going to be against a superpower like USA, that is still debated. And we are yet to see that, but still what we are seeing now is that there are certain attempts clearly being made by the Maduro regime as well to ensure that the kind of action that is being taken by the US has to be stopped at some point of time, because as far as the repeated attempts are concerned, they are just not stopping. Bella oil tanker has we are getting reports that it has slipped away after US tried to chase it for quite some time, trying to seize that tanker that was also carrying a lot of oil. But this cannot continue, and at some point of time there is going to be a flashpoint where there can be clashes and situation may just worsen if a country tries to take away the tankers, steal away the tankers of another sovereign nation that is not using those tankers as drug trafficking, for drug trafficking rather, but for their own domestic trade. So that's a big question, that even if the US has problems, but what is the right way to deal with the drug problem that they have domestically? So is it not better to strengthen their own border securities to ensure that the drugs do not come in, rather than trying to punish a third party for their own failures to curb the drug menace?
Okay, Akshay, US has told this UN Security Council meeting that it will deprive Maduro of all resources. Could you explain to us what is going on here? Is it a campaign against Maduro, or is it a campaign against drug trafficking, as Washington says? What is the reason behind these deteriorating ties between US and Venezuela?
Well, there are three major factors, Tanvi. One is geopolitics, of course. Second is oil trade, perhaps the biggest one, and then third is the drug trafficking and the domestic drug issue. So let's come to the first and rather the biggest problem here. That is the oil, oil trade issue. Venezuela is being seen by the US as its biggest rival when it comes to oil trade. That is the country with the biggest proven oil reserves. As far as the situation is concerned there, in the region, Trump or the US administration would rather favor a more friendly government in Venezuela that it can do oil trade with as well. Because if Venezuela becomes more friendly towards the US, then US can have, or rather US can cut all of its dependence in the West Asian region, in the Middle East region. So that is going to be a big headache removed from the US's foreign policy, where it has to rely still on the Middle East for the regulation of the oil prices and so on, where it has to be quite careful as far as you're taking action against terror groups are concerned, and other issues. But that's one issue. Maduro regime has been fundamentally opposed to the US because of various reasons, because of their ideological reasons. It has fostered closer ties to Russia and China. So that has become a problem for the US, and that's why it has openly called for regime change in the country. And the third, obviously, is the drug trade, where US has accused the Maduro regime of supporting the cartels and rather supporting the drug trade that the Latin American region is quite notorious for. So these are the major issues, but the calls for a regime change so openly, attempts to do a regime change in a third country already sound quite illegal as far as international law is concerned, international courts are concerned. But it is what it is. US is a superpower. Venezuela is a smaller country, so that's sort of a thing that's happening, and that perhaps is the reason why countries like China and Russia are now more openly backing Maduro regime as well. That perhaps is the reason why it has still stayed where it is in power in the country.
Okay, there's a lot to play out here from here onwards. We leave it here. Thank you very much, Akshay Dongre, for joining us on the show.